definitely hearing the story and then seeing what, or some of the things that actually went on, as I sit here, it's crossing the line. I mean, being a parent of girls and, my son who's not with me anymore, comes to mind. Even though I'm a coach, would I want my kid to be in a situation like that or treated that way? And I think not. That's really crossing the line.
As a coach, you need to have a team be tough. What's the fine line of coaching toughness and then crossing over into abuse?
It's a real fine line. It's something that you just can't teach per se, and I think the moment you start to try to teach that and to teach it in a way that I think Coach Rice was doing, then you're crossing the line. I mean, there's a certain amount of passion that comes along with playing sports, and everybody doesn't have that passion, and every kid doesn't have that passion, and you've got to kind of work with that as best you can.
Refresh my memory. What years at Syracuse?
73 to 77.
Okay, and you're on a Final Four team.
Yes.
Coach was it Boeheim?
Roy Danforth, first 2 years, second 2 years, Coach Boeheim.
Okay. Give me, if you will, the difference of coaching then to coaching today.
I don't know. It's a little bit different. I would say, and to go around and talk to coaches, there's back when I played, there wasn't too many things to do after school. There wasn't too many things to do after you left practice. After a game, to take your mind off a win or a loss in high school or college. You think about that won or that loss until you got back in the gym. Nowadays, kids have electronics. They have Facebook. They have Twitter. They have all these extra things that occupy their time, and also what they do is they have things to take their minds off of things that bother them. So to totally put all their eggs in one basket today, kids don't have to do that at all. So therefore, you're going to get a kid that's probably not as compassionate about what they're doing in sports opposed to when I went to school, because they have a lot of outlets, I would say, today.
I touched on it before. I've played before, so coach will grab you and put you in a position. I saw a couple of things that I saw Coach Rice do that I didn't think were a big deal. The grabbing the shirt and moving a guy here. The box out drill where he's throwing himself into him. Even throwing the ball at the feet of a guy, to
get his attention or what have you.
Well, you don't pass the feet, you pass here.
Right, exactly.
But balls at the head,
that
Gaslers, no room for that, I would assume.
No, I think, the hitting with the balls and the kicking and the shoving or pulling to a point that he was doing it, it's just crossing the lines. It's crossing the lines, and I'm not going to sit here and say that I was never chastised as a coach by my athletic director with maybe nothing like that, but just coaching period in my early days, But that, it's just no place for it. It's just no place for it, you know what I'm saying? And to sit here and say it is, I would totally be lying.
As a coach, though, who has been how many years now?
Well, I've been high school 18. I've been going on my 7th year head.
Are there challenges for coaches who've been in the game a while to evolve a little bit? Not to adapt themselves to the player, but to maybe change their approach to coaching.
Of course, like I said today, the young people today that play sports are not. They don't have to. They don't need it. They do it for extracurriculum most of the time. I don't think there's a lot of kids that still do it for the passion and because they want to do it beyond high school. So you have to adapt. You have to, and I think the one thing that I would say, opposed to high school and college, I mean, it's a win or you're fired, and that's an easy thing. I could see that not being a college coach, but just to think about the win losses, college pro. That could be a thing that you can get caught up into and really take you off the deep end. I think.
It's a lot of pressure.
It's a lot of pressure. When you're talking about paying, the mortgage, when you're talking about sending the kids to college, and, the wife, the transportation, everything. Fortunately or unfortunately, this is a part-time job for me. This is something that I love doing. So I'm definitely going to treat it a lot different than I think a college coach would, and that's just bottom line.
Why do you think most college coaches didn't want to touch this subject to the 10th hole?
Well, I really didn't want to touch it either, but I think that it's a fine line, and like I sit here and I say that all of us, a lot of us coaches can't sit here and say that we didn't evolve, we didn't learn, and I think that's the part that they don't want to touch, you know what I'm saying, and the fraternity, especially college, I mean, I'm high school, so I'm the little guy on the block, nobody really looks at me, but, being a college coach, that's a fine line, and you're talking about something that could probably be you the next day. Who knows?
But so as a high school coach, do you look at this now and say, all right?
I look at this and I look at this and I step back and I take a real good look at myself. I really do. I've always been one to learn from a lot of things, and I think if you can't learn from anything, then you're destined to probably be in that situation at some point. But it is something that makes me take a real good look at oneself.
Do you, as a coach, talk to your players before the season? I'm gonna yell, you're gonna hear me. How do you prepare them for your delivery, if you will?
My delivery is probably, almost the same every year. When a kid comes to me out of junior high school, more than none, he's seen me coach. I don't change when a kid's come to watch me at a game. They see me, I'm the kind of like motivator, I'm a yeller or what have you, I'll say that. But over the years, I've calmed down a lot, I'm saying. After a while, it's, you got other tactics or other things that you use to motivate kids.
And do you find kids are less open to the tone these days? Because, I'll even tell my son, don't listen to the tone, listen to the message.
Exactly. It's hard. It's hard, and I think, saving face, you're around your peers, the kids around kids, and you don't want to see anybody yelling at you, and it's hard not to listen to, what they're saying opposed to how they're saying it, maybe the tone, but I always tell my kids, hey, there's 400 people in here. If you expect me to say, okay, let's go, you're never going to get the message, I'm going to yell. Right. I'm going to yell. And most of the time, when a kid's been with you for a few years, it's very rarely do it really bother them. You know what I'm saying? They kind of get over that.
And is there a no hands rule in high school? Yeah. I mean, what does the CIAC put in place?
That's a no hands rule. That's all over. You can't grab and kick and push like that. It's just not. There's a demonstration. There's a certain amount of demonstrations before you cross the line. You know what I'm saying? But the shoving and the kicking, it's just not.
And when did that change? Because there was a time where, kids just practice.
When did that change? That changed when the right lawyer and the right parent, not just kidding, but I really couldn't tell you, but I know it's not acceptable now. I know when I was around, if a coach didn't beat up on you a little bit to a certain point, you figured he didn't care, but it's a little bit different today, The kids are different, the times are different, and it's just all different all the way around the block,